All right, we're watching the Unsafe vlog. I was gonna watch this anyway, so you guys
Oh, we're
can watch it
recording.
with me.
Okay, great.
So how are your wisdom teeth?
My wisdom teeth are gone.
Now, why
they've-
most people have wisdom teeth removed when they're like 13 and get laughing gas and it's a ball.
right, I know. I didn't do that. My dentist has been telling me for 30 years to get my wisdom teeth removed. I didn't want to do it because I'm told that every time you go under, you lose 3 IQ points. And I think
Really?
I need.
I'm sorry, he's one of the people who looks like he came from Harry Potter. He's like a dwarf or something. I'm sorry.
That's what I was told by somebody who is not an idiot. But I didn't have to go under. I just got the laughing gas, and my teeth were practically falling out anyway. So he just yanked them, and they came out. So it's all been fine. It's been very
I'm glad
untraumatic.
you jump on doctors' advice like that. For 30 years, they've been telling you to remove your wisdom teeth.
Well, it's just anyway. It didn't seem like a high priority item, but now it's been
I
done.
heard that about anesthesia, not the 3 IQ points particularly, but that it can change people. Maybe it has. That is what I heard. But that
I was also told it takes a month to recover for every hour that you're under.
but not laughing gas.
No. The guy. I mean, I asked the dentist about, this 3 IQ points thing. He says, "Oh no, not now with the new drugs we have. They used to affect you for a week, but now they only affect you for a few hours." Well, I mean, so I only lose 0.3 IQ points. I mean, it's like, sorry, not doing it. And it turns out there was no pain at all. I didn't need it anyway. So
Yeah,
what
the
the hell?
laughing gas is fantastic.
That's what you say. You may be more sensitive to these psychedelic drugs than I am.
It went by. I had them out when I was a kid, and I just remember I was laughing, and I see his hands coming out of my mouth with bloody hands, and I'm probably the tooth, and I just found the whole thing amusing. And,
Okay.
I don't know. I think it was like a 1-hour operation. It seemed like it was 60 seconds.
I think your enemies are going to take that clip and make something of it. Blood amuses Coulter.
Okay, on to the most fun news cycle, and I don't mean the death of the Queen. I was thinking with the death of the Queen, I mean, I admire the Queen, but that's the kind of news that has to be covered, but isn't something I really need to stay home and glue myself to the TV set for. So I thought, oh, this is going to be a great weekend. Take off, have fun. Don't really have to follow all of the details about the procession. And then DeSantis ships the illegals to Martha's Vineyard. And oh, I wish I had stayed home and watched MSNBC all weekend. This is the funnest news cycle ever.
I missed all the great clips of the women saying, "You have taught us so much. Thank you for coming. Now get on the bus and go." I mean, if they, if they had just, I mean, what if one of the immigrants had said, "You people have been so nice, I think I'll stay."
Right.
Would they have been free to stay? I think technically they are free to stay. They're free to go anywhere in the country. That's the problem. Joe Biden has released them. They can go anywhere they want.
They're free.
And so why do they have to get on the bus to leave the island? I mean, there's plenty of jobs on the island. They could have just stuck around.
I think the islanders would not have permitted that.
Yeah.
I suspect
think
they have more aggressive vagrancy laws.
I think they just got the bums rush. I just think.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they were just like chased off the island. I'm the party pooper here, because I was reading Matt Iglesias' column where he was talking about the need to build housing, and any attempt to preserve community character is MAGA. So community character is MAGA. Then I was thinking, I've decided you should always honor, not necessarily, they shouldn't always win, but you should always honor the sense of communities that they want to preserve what they like about their communities against outside forces. That applied to the Black community in Washington when they thought there was a white plan to push them out, which is in fact what happened. That applied to the people in Charlottesville who who Trump saw, who say we have a nice country here. We're being replaced and displaced by these people coming in. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our culture. We don't like that. I'm not saying they should win, but it's a reasonable reaction. It's a natural human reaction that everywhere across the board has. It's what happens. It's what happened in the Brecht play, The Caucasian Chalk Circle, which opens with a scene where the villagers don't want the planners to knock down their orchard, and they have a big debate, and the planners say, "Oh, but it's going to be a great dam. It's going to generate hydroelectric power." And they have, they're socialists, so of course the planners are right. But
wait, what movie? What is this? A movie?
This is a play called The Caucasian Chalk Circle that Brecht wrote in Los Angeles, bizarrely, and it's taught in law schools a lot because it has this crazy judge who dispenses substantive justice instead of formal justice. But the beginning scene is a scene of NIMBYism. Okay. In general, I think you should respect NIMBYism. It's not NIMBYism is so here we're against the NIMBYs. We're making fun of the NIMBYs. We're mocking the NIMBYs for these Martha's Vineyarders who don't want their nice island destroyed, and I might feel the same way if I were them. So my line is take the win. You've made the point. Everybody's talking about immigration, and find some other way to force the press to cover immigration. It was a great victory, but you got to know when to fold them.
I 100% disagree with you. I care about this more than any other issue. I want them to keep sending, and they've tricked even me into using the word migrant. No, they're illegal aliens. Sending illegal aliens to lily white liberal redoubts that announce themselves as sanctuary cities and put up their Black Lives Matter posters. And that's because I 100% agree with you. But wow, liberals don't. And how do they enforce their NIMBYism? By being very, very rich and living in these lily white, very, very, very rich luxury resorts. I mean, it has been stunning how they're making all of the arguments that poor small towns across America have been screaming from the rooftops for 40 years. Their schools are overwhelmed. They have to give up the Christmas pageant. We can't afford it. Now we have to have, 16 teachers, English as a second language. The Democrats, I think it was under Clinton, every hospital has to have like 100 different interpreters. Police departments have to have 100 different interpreters. Voting ballots have to. Small towns can't afford this, and they want to keep their small towns, even though they may not be rich enough to live on Martha's Vineyard. But all we're hearing is everything we have been saying, and they're saying it back to us with attitude. With attitude this time. It's also funny to go back and read, as I just was today, New York Times articles sneering about all of these governors and mayors complaining about the ghost flights of Biden flying these illegals in the dead of night, just dumping them in various areas around the country. Democrats have two motives for this. They want to turn red states blue, so they seem to be moving a lot of them to places where maybe not immediately, but in 5 years, their votes will change these states. And the locals, they get no warning. And the New York Times just describes this as, oh, no. It's a very complicated issue. Republicans are seizing on this. Well, it looks like it's not so complicated when their town is being dumped on.
There was a hilarious PolitiFact fact check about this, saying Republicans say the Biden administration is loading illegal aliens on jets in the middle of the night. It is true that they are loaded on the jets, and it is true that it's in the middle of the night, but it's done for their own confidentiality. So we rate this mostly false. Okay.
Yes.
Completely true. Mostly false means completely true. But I guess I see it a little like, I agree. And then the general problem of rich people walling themselves off is a pervasive problem in society. I wrote a book that convinced nobody, saying we should force the rich to accept people of different incomes in their suburbs. I'm proud to say I live on a class mixed block in Beverly Hills. We have some lower middle class people down the block. And
Yes.
but everybody's very happy and it works. Those are sort of. But I see it as a little like when you go protest on a rich person's lawn, okay,
Mhm.
and they turn on and you have a demonstration saying this person doesn't pay enough taxes, okay, and at some
Mhm.
point the public is with you, and at some point they switch and they say, okay, get off this guy's lawn. He has a right to have you off
Right.
his lawn, okay? Stop invading
Right.
his property. And I keep wondering if that's going to happen with Martha's Vineyard. Okay, we've made the point, we've embarrassed the vineyarders, let them have their peace and quiet. Maybe move on to another city.
There are plenty of cities that they ought to keep doing it. I mean, 50 illegals in Martha's Vineyard? No, keep doing it. Keep doing it in Martha's Vineyard. Of course, add other cities. They should be going to every lily white uh, luxury resort in the country where they have their Black Lives Matter sign and their
Right.
"We are a sanctuary city" sign. No, I think
Right.
the only way Republicans could lose this is if they fold and if they back down. Just
Right.
keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And to hear these hypocritical liberals
Hypocritical.
bum rushing the illegals onto buses. We don't have the infrastructure. Yeah, these small
We
towns
don't.
across America don't have the infrastructure. And you're foisting it on them. There was in one New York Times article about the Biden administration
It's
doing
true.
this, last month. There was one paragraph that was something like the Federation for American Immigration Reform, a group we support, FAIR, how they were running digital ads on what the Biden administration was doing by dumping these illegals on unsuspecting towns. Well, I don't know that I ever saw. I mean, I love FAIR. Glad they did the digital ad. I don't know that that had quite as much impact as watching the Martha's Vineyards rushing the migrants onto the buses. We can't do this. How dare you? It's it's sneaky. It's a political ploy.
The press has been trying to avoid immigration, as has Republican leaders. The press and Republican leaders, maybe both because they realize it's effective, but the press especially, they don't want to talk about it because they know it will tip votes to the Republicans. Okay, now as Herschel Walker said, they're at least talking about immigration. We have to keep them talking about it. The question is how. Steve Miller has a plan, which is use the continuing resolution in the Senate to somehow demand that we cut the funding for these flights, or we put on a rider saying no more illegals can be admitted into the country for the next fiscal year, or his minimum proposition is this money runs out in February, and when we take over, we're going to stop it. That doesn't seem crazy to me. I can't figure out why that's crazy, except that it always ends in disaster. And Ted Cruz makes a hash of it. And you got to keep Steve Miller out of it. Obviously, you can't have Steve Miller be the face of this campaign. But,
exactly. But Steve Miller also had 4 years to get something done as the assistant to the president who promised to build a wall, and nothing got done. So these clever little legislative fixes here and there. No, nothing has ever been as effective as seeing liberals screaming from the rooftops about illegals going to their communities. They've got to keep this up from now until election day. And that will very much increase the odds that Republicans do take the House and the Senate, which remains in doubt.
Yeah. Maybe they'll investigate DeSantis and indict him, which would be fantastic, right?
Yes, it would. I was just thinking about that because what the claims being made by the lunatic left is they lied. DeSantis lied to these illegals and told them they were being sent someplace where there would be jobs and they'd be taken care of. Just for the precedent of that lawsuit being brought, forget the preposterous idea that it could be brought against a governor. As you know, well, you know on your own, but I wrote about in Adios America, there are all kinds of anti-American groups right here in America going and ginning up Latin Americans, South Americans, giving them their scripts. What do you claim to get into America? And here, follow us into America. They just hate this country and they want to change it. Yes, the Democrats want to change the demographics for particularly partisan reasons to have Democrats have an insuperable majority, but it's more than that. These are the descendants of the communists who just wanted to destroy our country. That's what they're doing. They're lying to the migrants. They're teaching the migrants to lie to U.S. officials to get them into the country. And even if their asylum is turned down, well, then they have their anchor baby. So now they have to stay because they're related to an American citizen.
Well, they never got deported. They don't get deported even if they don't have anchor babies.
That's true. That's true. The whole thing is based on a lie, and there are left-wing groups doing this. They are not governors of states.
Are you saying that the same precedent that they use against the Martha's Vineyard people could be used against these left-wingers?
No, I'm saying if they have the audacity to bring a lawsuit against DeSantis for lying to illegals to get them on the buses, how about all of the migrant rights groups that are operating in Mexico? Hey, get on the bus. We'll get you in. Here's your script.
Well, I hope you can keep it going until Election Day. You only have to do it for 50 more days.
Yes, I seriously think we need a GoFundMe page. There's nothing I would be happier to contribute to.
At some point, the press is going to say, we're playing into the Republicans' hands and stop covering Martha's Vineyard. The genius of Martha's Vineyard was all the reporters actually wanted to go to Martha's Vineyard because it's half a vacation. So there were like 50 reporters from each paper covering. They had a reporter for each migrant to interview them, because they all love being on Martha's Vineyard. So even if the press doesn't, even if their editors don't want to cover Martha's Vineyard, the reporters do. So it has to be a nice place where reporters want to go. But there are plenty of those. But there are plenty of those, and rich people tend to live with them. But we're ready for them here in Beverly Hills, Dan. So don't send them here. We'll take great care of them, and there'll be no story here for you. So I think
is Beverly Hills a sanctuary city? I doubt it.
No, they're actually pretty right wing.
Yeah,
they were against all the COVID regulations, against all the anti-fur regulations.
Anti-fur.
So I think they were proud of their homeless. At one point, they told me, "We're proud that the homeless have chosen Beverly Hills to make their non-home." Like, okay, I don't think you're proud anymore. But anyway, there was a period of liberalism. What can I say?
Well, the whole immigration thing is actually a fine illustration of your book. How it is.
I'm pouring this shit out.
The poor and the people without political power, and people living in icky states that liberals would never, or cities liberals would never, ever, ever live in. They are bearing 100% of the burden of mass illegal immigration. And to finally dump a little of it on the rich and see how they squeal in terror. It's absolutely brilliant, and I would like to make Governor DeSantis president right now.
Well, doesn't our governor Gavin Newsom stand in his way? Newsom proposed debating DeSantis, and I thought DeSantis should immediately take him up on it. It would get a lot of publicity. He would chew Newsom up and spit him out. Newsom is a soundbite guy. He's not a debater. He's never been in a hard debate. He knows how to flip his hair and say a soundbite and then leave.
Flip his hair.
And DeSantis is used to brawling, and there just wouldn't be anything left of Newsom except his hair after the debate is over. So it would. I just think it would drive Trump crazy, because anything that gives DeSantis prominence drives Trump crazy. I don't see the downside.
The downside is it's beneath DeSantis to debate someone so preposterous. I mean, maybe that would be a good thing to elevate Gavin Newsom, but well, you never know what will happen. I'm not a Democrat. You guys can make your own decision. I can't imagine he's going to be the nominee. If he is, he's not going to be rough competition. So, it would be like me going to a college and, I'm going to debate the head of the college Democrats.
The problem is all these East Coast reporters think, well, Gavin Newsom, he's good looking and he's governor of the largest state in the union. He's the immediate front runner. And you go, no, please stop. Have you ever heard him talk? He's a horrible douchebag. Everybody will hate him. He's not going to go anywhere. And these people like Ben Smith, a sophisticated guy, say, well, isn't Newsom the obvious nominee for the Democrats if Biden doesn't run?
Wow.
I mean, and as a Democrat, as you know, and I'm a Democrat, this needs to be killed, or else we might somehow end up with Newsom as president, which would be a huge debacle. So I think
That step I'm not worried about. If I were
Okay, I'm kind of done watching this, but I wanted you guys to get a sense of like the fact that I do watch this. I think it's interesting what they're saying. Sometimes I can't watch them talk for too long. I'm too drunk for this, but like, yeah, like I hear what she's saying. It's kind of making a complete mockery of the immigration bullshit in Martha's Vineyard, which is bullshit for the record. So let's be clear. Nobody takes them seriously. Like, immigration needs to be fixed. Build a wall. I don't know what else to say.